Now, when I'm making fermented vegetables, I always use cabbage. I mostly use green cabbage, but a lot of times I'll make a red batch and I'll put in red things like a red onion and red cabbage and red beets. And these beets right here are actually orange beets. I'll put in a regular onion or even the scallions or leeks, for example, because they're really good. And I'll sometimes even put in a little pepper, like a little jalapeno pepper. When I take out the seeds, if I don't want it too hot. If you leave in the seeds, it's going to be spicier. When you ferment something, by the way, whatever you put in there, garlic, anything that's spicy, it's going to increase in spiciness. So don't overdo with your spices. Now, another thing I think is fun to do, and kids love to do this, is make sliced potato chips, or even, again, you can spiralize these if you want. Put oil on them, put them in the oven with some salt. One of the things I've noticed with children is that if they participate in cooking the meal and, use something like this, they're going to eat the vegetables that you're giving them. Here's kale. You can, of course, I frequently put kale in my cultured vegetables because it just has so many wonderful nutrients, and we can't get enough dark green leafy vegetables into our diet. So I'll just stack these, clean them off, stack them up, roll them up really tight, and put them down into the top of my, I use the pusher. I'll use the pusher, depending on how big my roll is, but a lot of times I'll just push them right down in there if it's a real tight roll into the small hole. So to make cultured vegetables, the one thing I just want to point out, by the way, people often prefer the tops of the broccoli, and they just throw away the stem, and it's just full of nutrition. What you can do is cut the stem off, take a little peeler, like a carrot peeler, and peel off the outer layer. Some people actually just pull it back with a little paring knife, but what's underneath is very good for you. And again, that's something that you could shred or slice very thinly if you want to put it in the cultured vegetables that you're making. So carrots, daikon, I don't know if you're familiar with this white vegetable that looks a lot like a carrot. It's actually a radish, and they use it in Japan, eat it all the time. If you're eating out in Japanese restaurants, you'll probably get a little bit of daikon on your plate. It's not just a garnish. Eat it, please, because don't let them take it away and throw it out, because it's a wonderful food for helping cleanse the liver, and it's especially good if you've got any fats in your diet. It helps keep the fats from sticking in the body and causing problems, because a lot of us don't digest fats very well. The last thing I really want to say is that we have for years been recommending the use of a starter in your fermented vegetables. This is our Body Ecology Culture Starter. It contains plantarum. Plantarum is one of those superorganisms in the microbiome in your gut that tells the other bacteria what to do. If you think about it, the bacteria need leaders, and certain bacteria are leaders. Dr. Leo Gallen calls these superorganisms Alexander organisms, because Alexander the Great was this leader that everybody just followed. They just followed him just because, that's what everybody did. And so plantarum is like that. Plantarum is antiviral, so it protects you from viral infections. If you have to take an antibiotic, it isn't usually destroyed by most antibiotics, and so the plantarum is still left inside your gut. And you won't get that overgrowth of yeast infection, so those are two great things. It also produces, bacteria produce different substances like B vitamins and vitamin K and vitamin A and so on, but plantarum also produces folate. And folate, if you're into the genes and into methylation, if you're a practitioner, you'll know what I mean. We need folate in our diet. And you can get folate from dark green leafy vegetables, but isn't it great to have a bacteria that's actually making it for you right down inside your gut? So plantarum does that. And plantarum degrades histamine. A lot of people are having a problem with histamine. So if your fermented vegetables are made with plantarum, you're going to have this wonderful bacteria going to work and degrading the histamine. I've been recommending fermented foods for nearly 2 decades now and teaching people how to make them. So I've seen many, many success stories when people add them to the diet. People who eat fermented foods don't age as quickly. They're much healthier. They have a stronger immune system. They digest their food better. They've got all these microbes in their gut making delicious, important nutrients like B vitamins and vitamin K and so on. So we really, really need to be eating fermented foods. But sometimes people can't eat them. And almost always that's an indication that they have a pathogen in their gut. It is a sign of a certain kind of gut dysbiosis where they have something, some pathogen in there most likely, or it could even be a bacteria that's not necessarily pathogenic like E. coli and other bacteria, but they're in the wrong place. In the small intestine, which is what SIBO is, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So fermented foods for those people cause a problem. It's called lactic acidosis. They're reacting to lactic acid-producing bacteria, so lactic acid-producing bacteria. Now, some bacteria, the bacteria that you'll find in products like Prescriptus, the Garden of Life, soil-borne organisms, those soil-borne organisms don't cause a problem. Most people do not have a problem with bifidus either. It's just the lactobacillus bacteria, which is what you'll find in your fermented vegetables and even in our probiotic liquids. So I just want to, have you know that doesn't mean the rest of your life you can't eat fermented vegetables. Actually, quite the opposite. You want to actually get rid of that pathogen in your gut, the troublemaker. That's a problem, and you need to solve that problem. And then you do want to introduce the fermented foods back in. And I recommend fermented vegetables made with our plantarum starter, our culture starter that has the plantarum bacteria in there first, because the bacteria, it's a very, there's a lot of plantarum in there. The plantarum is degrading oxalates. It's getting rid of the histamine and controlling that, degrading the histamine. People will find that this is the first bacteria to introduce into their gut after they've treated their gut for the bacteria that's causing the problem or the pathogen that's causing the problem. Now, maybe you'll have to stay off of the fermented vegetables for a month or even 3 months, but at some point start to introduce a small amount back into your diet, maybe even a tablespoon with your biggest meals, and then you'll see that you will probably be fine with them. So please don't avoid these really special foods because somehow you've got the impression that they don't work for you. They would work for you if you didn't have an infection in your gut. So I want to make that clear. And then also soy, I get that question asked a lot. What about soy? We don't recommend soy products like tofu. It's very rich in copper, just as nuts and seeds are. So I know a lot of people in the beginning have too much copper in their body and they're zinc deficient. So they're not on stage 1 of the diet, the tofu products. But I do recommend that people eat fermented soy products such as miso soup, even natto. Every once in a while, maybe I'll go to the Japanese market close to me and I'll buy natto, organic natto, and I bring it home and I put in some fermented vegetables and some mustard and maybe a few drops of the wheat-free tamari that I buy and, stir that all up really well, put that in the refrigerator, and every day eat a tablespoon of that natto because it is an amazing bacteria. It's probably the hardiest bacteria that you could put into your gut. And it really is known in Japan where they eat a lot of natto for building the immune system. It also makes your skin absolutely beautiful. And plantarum degrades oxalates, which if you follow my work, you'll know that for years I've been encouraging people to be mindful about oxalates, be on a low oxalate diet. You do not want, we don't count calories, but we do count oxalates. So you want to keep oxalates to a minimum. You'll find oxalates in spinach, in Swiss chard, in chocolate, soy, nuts and seeds. Even sweet potatoes are rich in oxalates. And on the BodyEcology diet, we have quinoa and millet, which are seeds. So I tell people to get a big pot of water boiling, and when it is boiling, you drop in your quinoa, boil it for about 11 minutes, drain it, And a lot of your oxalates go right down the drain when you cook it that way. You can do the same thing with a sweet potato. Boil your chunks of sweet potato and then drain off the water and get rid of the oxalates, or at least get rid of a lot of the oxalates. But the best way to control oxalates is to have the right kind of bacteria in your gut. Now, you don't have to use a vegetable starter when you make your cultured or fermented vegetables, but there's a lot of advantages to putting in a starter. Finally, I was very surprised to learn from this amazing cookbook that comes with the Veggie Bullet. It's really a great cookbook. I could use so many of the recipes in there, even on the Body Ecology diet, and it certainly gave me a lot of ideas for how to use the Veggie Bullet, and also just how to adapt the recipes to work for me, for my unique body, because that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to make this food work for you, because every single one of us are unique. That's one of our 7 body ecology principles. So I love this cookbook. It's really, made just for the Veggie Bullet, and it's really a high quality cookbook. Did you get that for free? You can. This is a brand new machine. A lot of people won't even know what it is, but it'll probably soon be available in stores like Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart. Kohl's is another store that a lot of people shop in that has a kitchen department. So you can look for it in stores. But if you want it right away sent to you, we have a link down below where you can click on that link and have it sent right straight to you. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say? I mentioned you can slice meat, like this is chicken. I could take this and put it even into my shredder and shred it for my chopped salad. I could do that with boiled eggs, hard-boiled eggs if I wanted to. People that are eating tofu, I don't recommend a lot of tofu because there's some issues with soy, and blood type B really has issues with soy, but if you are a soy eater, you can also use this for soy products like tofu as well. So just know that fermented foods are working for you in many, many ways to make you healthier. You do want a diet that's primarily vegetables. That is the secret to really being healthy. And eventually everybody that's out there with their different diets are telling you this. So the Veggie Bullet is very well made. It will last you quite a long time. But most of all, you get a lot of use out of it. It will save you a tremendous amount of time, and it's fun to use. So happy spiralizing, shredding, and slicing.